I did a little background on you a little bit recently, and I saw that you had done a webinar with Donna, and you were speaking in depth about agent retention, and with this whole, you know, the challenges around agent retention lately. Can you talk a little bit about agent experience and the really from like a frontline manager perspective, supervisor perspective, like why is agent experience important? What can frontline managers do to improve it, and how does it correlate to the overall customer experience?
Yeah. So we have a couple days to talk about this, Sebastian. Is that
Yes.
Right? So
Part 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Why is it important? And we're going to talk from the agent experience. All right, I'm going to talk to the executives in the room right now because it's expensive if we get it wrong. That's, I mean, we know that that's where our number one cost for our business is in people. And to me,
it's about 80%, right, for labor.
Yeah, it's not insignificant. And the thing I always tried to research with this, Sebastian, is because I often saw turnover statistics, and when I would look at the cost of losing an agent, there were all of these hard and fixed costs that are often thrown into that number. And when you really start to unravel what happens from say we have an attrition problem and we lose 25%, you're not just having to retrain those people, train new people. You're not just having to spend time in recruiting and or all of these like frequent numbers that are thrown out there in terms of that cost, but you also have massive hits to efficiency in your workforce, and that's going to have a decrease on customer satisfaction. It's going to start eroding other agent engagement because it naturally makes the contact center understaffed. And so everybody's now having to pull, and it becomes very quickly a snowball. And,
and it puts stress on the ones who are remaining, which makes them more likely, to your point, the snowball, this avalanche that's developing, or they may want to leave as well.
Yeah. It compounds quickly so purely from a numbers standpoint, like, it doesn't behoove a business to have any type of employee engagement or attrition problem. And we can spend a lot of time there. Let's talk offline. If you're somebody who's like, I'm not sure I get that. Look, in terms of what does it mean for supervisors and leaders, which I think was your next question. To me, there's two things that we have to recognize and be okay with. First thing is that nobody vision boards to be a contact center agent. If the next, like, if
hides my vision board.
Look, man, I love this work, and I didn't vision board this thing. Okay, I don't know that I'm a vision boarding kind of guy, but in any case,
no, I'm with you.
So, but it's just not the type of thing in most cases that people aspire to. Now, look, I had one point worked with an FDA contact center where these people all had their doctorates, and this was exactly what they had aspired to. Like, they had planned to do exactly this. They were technically a contact center, but that's not who we're talking about, right? The typical kind of profile that people are thinking about with contact, nobody aspires to do that work. They land up there. And so, as I mentioned, the webinar with Donna Fluss, is that there's this natural resentment that kind of starts to erode. We play these vicious games in our minds. And, as agents, we question whether or not we're making an impact, whether or not this is different. And we all believe that we're bound for something better. And, I'll bet that for many cases, that's probably right. We, even the best contact center agents maybe are, not dreaming big enough. I don't know. I'm not them.
No, but you talk about dreaming big enough, but you never know where you're going to end up. And one of the things that stood out to me when I heard you speak last about that was that you are teaching these individuals really important life lessons and life skills that they can apply to the rest of their lives. You started pretty much in the contact center. I started in the contact center. And now we're talking about emerging customer experience technologies to other folks. And so there's value in the time, energy, and effort and training and coaching that these frontline leaders are putting into folks, into these people, frontline agents. And there's value in what they can get out of it if it's looked at like you're really nurturing people. And really, if I think people who are involved in the contact center, you know, the grand majority of them, they do care about people. They care about the agents. They care about the customers. And sometimes, like some of the contact centers I've been a part of, it's like a family, right? And so but it stood out to me when you mentioned it in your last call, because it's not something that is talked about as a part of agent retention.
No, and see that to me is why. So if we acknowledge up front that people don't aspire to be here, the question behind the question is then where do they aspire to be? And when leaders start to think in that way, they then look at the contact center as a catalyst for that person's future. And that for me, Sebastian, is exactly what I try to teach leaders that I work alongside is how do you shift your perspective on the contact center as a place where somebody's career comes to die, right? Which I feel often people like, that's what they feel like. If they land it there, like all hope is gone. When that is, I mean, that could not be further from the truth. Because, and that is it to me, that I believe, and this goes back to, you mentioned it earlier about people should spend some time there. It's why I believe that executives should spend some time there. I do believe that the contact center is probably one of, if not the greatest place for someone to have these kind of like catalyzing experiences that can prepare them for roles within the organization, roles at other organizations. It's just a matter of looking at the work differently. And it's not about what are you doing right now, but what is this experience doing in terms of shaping and preparing you for whatever's going to be next, and being okay with the fact that, hey, there's probably for most contact center employees something next. That's okay. How do we get them there?